Hey, fourth grade. So it's been a while. So I thought, hey, I haven't seen all of you guys in a while. So I thought I'd just make a video and say hey. And, I think for those of you that come to my room, you might recognize these guys. They've been hanging out here at my house with me in quarantine. So, they just wanted to say hi. But I hope everyone is doing well and I hope everyone is staying healthy and has been enjoying extra time that you've gotten to spend with your family. Even though, I know that it's sad that you haven't been able to go to school, you haven't been able to play with your friends, see your friends, most of you probably sad about not seeing not being able to see your teachers. And, I do say most of you because I'm sure there's some of you that, got kind of tired of seeing people like Mrs. Banis and Mrs. Grossman on a daily basis. But, I know that it was a nice break for me, having that from break from them too. But I at this point, it would be nice if we could get back to normal. But unfortunately, we can't. So you're probably wondering why I'm making this video and you're watching me instead of your teacher. Um, my class did a science project slash experiment for force and motion, and some of your teachers wanted me to share the project because they wanted to maybe try and do it or do some variation of it. So I'm going to kind of talk about it here real quickly and give you kind of the overview of what it is and the directions. So for those of you, most of you should know at this point, force and motion, you're dealing with things with acceleration, movement, friction, and you think about a ball, and that ball is going to stay steady and still in one spot unless something comes along, some force comes along and moves it. It could be as simple as a really big fan and air pushing it. You could go up and you could kick it, you could roll it. There could be a change in the elevation or the angle of the floor. An earthquake comes and vibrates, it'll move. So things are staying still unless there is some kind of force. And then you think about things like friction, and you think about if you take a toy car and you roll it on a kitchen tile or hardwood floor, and it's going to roll really easily. At the same time, you apply that same car and apply that same amount of force, you push that on a carpet, that car on a carpet, and it's not going to go as far because you have more friction there between the wheels and the carpet. So that being said, there are several resources that you can use besides whatever your teacher decides to tell you. I believe force and friction is page 158 in your science book. It's somewhere around there. There's the unit on force and motion, and it'll explain a lot of things there. I'm going to share a couple of short YouTube videos with your teachers that kind of explain a little bit as well. Plus, you guys have resources at your fingertips in regards to the internet and YouTube and everything. So one thing we know when we deal with science and the design process or the scientific method or engineering process, if you're doing any of these experiments, normally what you would want to do is you would want to make sure that all of your conditions are the same. So, for example, if you were doing this project at school, if I was doing this with my class at school, I would make sure that my class had a bag and every group or every individual that did the project had the exact same materials, because you can't do a science project or experiment and expect to get similar results if everybody uses different materials. also, along that same line, if we were doing this at school, when it came to the test day where we were actually testing out everybody's creations, we would all do it under the same circumstances. In this case, for this experiment, usually I would go down in the gym hallway where you guys sit with Mrs. Markling. Everybody has the same surface and everything, and that way it is fair for everybody. And not only is it fair for everybody, but that way you're getting similar results, because everybody's using the same materials and has the same environment. But unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 here and us being in isolation and not being at school, you guys all have different access to different things. So, we've had to kind of change things. So when I did this with my class this week, what I told them was that they could use any kind of materials that they can find around their house or their yard or whatever. Okay, so let's back up and let's talk about what this is. So your job is going to be to create some type of a vehicle that is ground based, not through the air, okay, unless your teachers decide they want to change it, okay, but ground based, meaning that it's on the ground, okay. So when I say vehicle, basically some type of a car or something like that you're going to create. The goal of this is that once your vehicle passes the start line, and we'll talk about how it can be propelled in a minute, once it passes the start line, that your vehicle travels the furthest. So you get a tape measure, you measure it out, and when you measure it out, yours travels the furthest. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Okay, so let's talk about this vehicle. So like I said, material-wise, normally you guys would all be given the exact same materials to use. Again, since you're at home, what I told my class is that they could use basically anything they could find around the house. That could be anything from water bottles to pencils to toothpicks to straws to, they could use the Lego pieces, to bottle caps, to lids, to cardboard, basically anything. You're going to construct this vehicle, and again, the goal is to have it travel as far as possible. Yes, I told my class that they want to use hot glue to glue it together. They could glue it. That would be fine. Again, normally under normal circumstances, you wouldn't use the same. You would all use the same materials. So you're going to construct this vehicle based upon all of these materials that you put forth. Now think about the science and the engineering process. Your problem here that you're trying to solve is to create a vehicle that will travel, okay, as far as possible. So what you need to start doing is you need to start brainstorming ideas. What do you want to create? Okay, come up with a list of materials. Now, when it comes to materials, please ask your parents and make sure that you're not just grabbing things that they might be using. Don't go into your mom's jewelry drawer and get out her, pearl earrings and use those as wheels for the car. I mean, be smart. Ask for permission first so that you don't get your teacher in trouble and you don't get me in trouble. And then you come up with those materials, and then you come up with, what I told my class was, sketch out an idea and then make it. Try making it. Now, there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be good things that happen. There's going to be bad things that happen. There's going to be successes. There's going to be failures. That's fine. That's part of the process. Once you build a prototype, you test it. Okay? No one's is going to be perfect on the first try. So see what happened. Did it go straight? Did it veer right? Did it veer left? Did it flip over and go over head over heels? And then after you do that, go back to the drawing board and say, what can I do differently? What can I change? What changes can I make? What things can I add or take away in order to try and solve the problems that it have? And then do it. And then try it and test it again. Now, you may solve that problem and another problem may come up. That's how the scientific process works. So keep at it. Adjust things, test, adjust, test. Now, sometimes you're going to make adjustments that you think will work and it'll have the absolute opposite effect. And you're thinking, wow, that was a complete failure. And that's okay. You know, that is part of the process. Okay. Then once you have gotten to the point where you are happy with it, you are going to do it for real. But let's back up again and let's talk about how you're going to start this. So remember, you're going to have a start line. This is behind the start line. Your vehicle is going that way. Okay? Once your vehicle crosses the start line, you cannot have anything to do with it. It's on its own. So you ask, well, how do we start it? There are multiple ways, and this is where the force aspect of the project comes into play. You can do several different things. Okay? There's the old-fashioned, I'm just going to push it as hard as I can. But remember, if you're pushing it, here's my hand pushing it, you can't push it past the start line. Once it passes that start line, hands off. Okay? You can create a ramp system. That's fine. You can have a ramp that starts all the way up here and it curves down. But the bottom of the ramp is the start line. So you're not measuring from where you started way up here. You're measuring from the bottom of the ramp. Okay? You can have something that's going to propel it, like a balloon or some type of a rubber band with a propeller. Okay? There are all different kinds of ways that you can come up with that are going to propel your vehicle. But the main thing to remember is once it crosses that start line, it's on its own. It may cross that start line and take a turn, a sharp turn, left turn. That's what it did. Okay? Now, once you get your project done and finalized, your teacher will come up with a way for you to share it. Okay, so my class, we used Flipgrid and they all videoed themselves, and some of them got creative. It was really cool watching some of them. I had one of them, and she put a Dora, one of her sisters, Dora, a little action figure in there as the driver. And so she recorded herself doing it down this ramp, and then she did another one and had the camera mounted by Dora, and it had Dora cam. So you know, it was like you were riding in the car as it went down the ramp. You know, kids did it outside, kids did it inside. Again, normally we would all do it under the same circumstances, but you know, at this point you're going to use what you have available. If your room is not big enough, your hallway is not big enough or long enough, you might want to do it outside on the sidewalk. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, and again, normally we'd all do it under the same circumstances. But get creative. So you'll make you know, my class, we made a video, they made a video, they posted it, they had a tape measure. Okay, so the easiest way that we found was, that I saw a lot of my kids do, was they had a tape measure already taped out, pulled out, you know, you can stop it, you know, lock it, so it was taped out. And then they basically zoomed their vehicle down, wherever it stopped, they could then see and mark how far it went. Now, when you do that, you know, look, you can do it 2 or 3 times, you know, and take the best number. That, you know, that would be fine with me. And your teacher may say differently, but you know, that's part of the process. You know, best 2 out of 3, and then you take your best your farthest distance. Then the other thing that my class did was to be creative. So we're having a winner for whose travels the furthest. But the other thing we're doing is having a competition for whose is the most creative. Because it's real easy to take, some Lego wheels and do this and that and make it. But I want to see creative projects. I want to see creative thinking. So do your teachers. They want to see you come up with something that is very cool, unique, creative, that really shows your personality. So that's basically it. That's the Vehicle Science Force in Motion project. Your teachers can answer any questions that you might have. I hope that kind of explained it, at least in the basics. If you have questions, you can always, talk to one of the kids that is in my class, because they've done this project. They turned it in today, and in fact, I watched their videos today, and there were some really, really creative and really cool projects. I mean, who would have known that you could have used a coat hanger the way that some of these kids used? And it's, again, I'm going to tell you, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to fail. Okay, just learn from that failure. And I even had several kids that had what they thought was a great project. They built the whole thing, they tested it, and they didn't just go back and try and change a couple things. They decided this project that they thought was going to work wasn't going to work, and they completely went with a different direction. So last week they showed me something, their progress, and then today I see it's completely different. It's okay. It's okay for that to happen. Trust me. Some of your teachers have failed miserably over and over again. And if they were to do this project, some of them, they would fail at this too. But don't tell them that I said that. That's between me and you. So, anyway, I hope everybody is staying healthy. Help your parents out around the house. Be nice. You've got 2 weeks left of 4th grade, then you will be moving on to 5th grade, unless you want to stay and have your teacher again for next year. But, I wouldn't recommend that. Like I said, I have to see those other 4 teachers every year over and over, and it gets kind of old. So, it'd be nice to see some new people. So, again, I hope your family and all of you guys are doing well. Stay safe, and we will see you. Have fun with this project and be creative. We will see you later. Bye.